Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Halloween! I'm just going to continue here and show off some of my collection, my favorite issues from a few, focusing on different characters. So today's going to be Deadpool, Wolverine, Ninja Turtles, and then I'm also going to show a few of my early under 100 Amazing Spider-Man comics. So Deadpool, obviously heating up. This book, I remember I got this for $80 in nice condition like 2 years ago. This is the first really expensive book I ever bought. Like $80 at the time for me was just an insane amount of money to spend on a comic book. The thing with me in comics is I really like when the universe and the characters and everything, they don't take themselves too seriously. I have a hard time with DC specifically because it's just a little too serious for me. I just find these characters are in such ridiculous situations. It's silly, it's fun, and Deadpool is like totally that representation of what that is. His first appearance, ironically, he is pretty serious, and it's funny that this book gets so much attention because really the Deadpool as we know him came a little later, and I think that's what everybody really likes. If that sort of telling of the character never happened, then this book wouldn't be worth anything. But still excited to have it because it is the first appearance of Deadpool, obviously, and Gideon and Domino as well. But honestly, I don't even know anything really about who Gideon is, but Domino, obviously, too. But yeah, so this is a nice high-grade copy, so happy to have this. This isn't really Deadpool, but it's kind of connected because Deadpool and Cable are pretty closely connected. But another high-grade book, New Mutants 87, first appearance of Cable. Cable's just the awesome old man strength type badass dude that everybody knows and loves. This is Deadpool #1. So I think this is really when the silliness sort of started in this series. This is the 1997 series. The art on it is not the best, but it's okay because it's such a light book that a light sort of silly art style works. It's a wraparound cover, so I have two of them actually, so you can kind of see what they look like. But yeah, like Deadpool as a character is just so much fun. It's sort of the silly violence. People have, different writers have sort of done different takes on him and focused on different things, from him knowing he's a comic book character to like Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, to actually I really like the Deadpool kills Deadpool series, which is funny because that came out 6 months ago, and it's exactly the same as what the Spider-Verse story is. It's like basically identical, and everyone's kind of going crazy about the Spider-Verse, but I kind of like the Deadpool verse stuff. This is the first series I read of Deadpool. This is the Marvel Now one. And I really enjoyed it. I liked it for a long time. When it went bi-monthly, I didn't like it as much. I can't remember if it started bi-monthly or not. But I think there were two writers on the book, and they would never specify which one was which. I don't think it was always Dugan and Posin. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But I felt like whenever one writer was doing it, it was really good and really funny, and I really enjoyed it. I think it was Dugan. And when the other one was on, I just didn't enjoy it at all. I felt the jokes fell flat and they were really awkward and didn't work. So I really like this series, but I couldn't justify it at $3.99 bi-monthly, so I did end up dropping it. But I might end up picking up the back issues anyways. We'll see. The Deadpool story, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I think it's called. It's with Deadpool, Wolverine, and Captain America. I think is one of the best Deadpool stories out there. And they just had a really neat one-shot after the death of Wolverine, which is Deadpool and Captain America, who's now old, trying to destroy like every piece of DNA of Wolverine because they feel like someone will try to take it and bring him back from the dead. And it's really, there's some cool moments in it. What I really like is when a book can have those serious tones and deal with real issues, but also stay light and have fun. And I felt like that book does it really well, and that series, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, did it really well. But yeah, I really enjoy the sort of relationship between Cap, Wolverine, and Deadpool, as they're all sort of experimental super soldiers, and Deadpool's like the screwed up version, Captain America's the perfect version, and Wolverine is kind of in between. He worked out really well, but he's sort of this feral animal. So their relationship sort of makes sense, and them as buddies is kind of neat. They they show this really cool scene with Deadpool where he's sitting in a bar with Wolverine as like flashback, and they're both, or Wolverine's kind of comforting him after he lost someone who was really close to him and saying, you want to blame yourself, you want to like loathe and self-pity and stuff, but you have to learn to forgive yourself or you'll just be miserable the rest of your life. It's a really cool moment. This is Deadpool Circle Chase #1. So this is his first mini series as he started to get more popular. Yeah, so I'll go through my Wolverine run kind of quickly here. So I have 2 copies of this one. This one, I'm not sure which one's better. This one's overall better, but then it kind of has a little white chunk down there where it's a big scuff, which I don't like. But this is when Chris Claremont took over the Wolverine series as an ongoing series. With this one, I guess he wanted it to be less of like a sort of superhero story and more sort of a down-to-earth, grittier story. So I guess he's often not even in his costume in this. He's in his plain clothes. He's out on more grounded type adventures. But yeah, pretty good series. Especially I like the Chris Claremont stuff. The first 10-20 issues are pretty strong. So I got #1. I actually have #2 here. When I bought this in a lot. So I think this guy must have thought this was part of the ongoing series or something. So I got #2 as well this is the mini series. That's #2 with the Silver Samurai. Awesome cover. This is of the ongoing now. #3. And I got these all for $1, except for the #1, because there was a sale. The guy was just unloading his collection. He had any books he had listed at $4 each. He was selling for $1, so I did pretty well. This is Wolverine #10. So this is the first time that Wolverine meets Sabretooth, who's obviously one of his biggest villains. And I thought in that Wolverine movie that everybody hates, I actually liked sort of the guy who played Sabretooth and their relationship. I thought that was one of the better parts of that movie. The Wolverine and Sabretooth rivalry is one of my favorites in comics in terms of villains and heroes. I remember from the 90s show, one of my favorite episodes of the X-Men was when Wolverine's in the Arctic and he goes off and he's off on his own living with some Inuits, as Wolverine does, and Sabretooth shows up and is terrorizing the place there, and they have a really good fight. So this story might be based, or that might have been based on this story. I can't remember, but yeah, great little story. This is Wolverine #17. Just an awesome Wolverine cover in costume. I think this is my favorite Wolverine costume, is the orange and brown. Wolverine #31. Wolverine #32. #33, another awesome cover coming up from the rubble. Wolverine 34. Wolverine 36, which is like awesome, just classic Wolverine with the giant machine gun, smoking a cigar. Wolverine 37 with Lady Deathstrike, Yuriko. Wolverine 38. Robots. And Wolverine 39. This is Wolverine Old Man Logan, which is my favorite Wolverine story. You can find these in like random bins for pretty good prices sometimes. So I'm trying to get the whole run here. I'm just going to show off the first one right now. But yeah, there's some great... It's just an awesome story. If you guys haven't read it, basically in this possible future, Wolverine is one of the last sort of heroes left, because all the villains got together and said, look, we outnumber these guys like 10-1. Let's just get together and take these guys all out. And basically all the heroes got killed, and all we really see is America, but America is split up between some major supervillains. You find Wolverine, who's just a broken man and refusing to fight. He's living on a farm. the Hulk's kind of gone crazy because of gamma poisoning, and his children run the show, and they're just these cruel hicks who run around and bully everybody, and Wolverine just refuses to fight. And his buddy Hawkeye, who's now blind, comes to ask for his help just to drive a car across America. So they go on this road trip kind of together and see how the world would look if all the villains won, and each kind of, there's different sections of the country broken up, and people are and different villains. Some are still running them, some have been overrun, some have been killed. So really great story, and great art. It's Mark Miller, and he just knows how to put his characters through the ringer. So one of the greatest reveals is how Wolverine gets so broken. I thought was just genius and terrible, and it blew my mind. So great story. If you haven't read it, definitely worth reading. And this is Wolverine #1 of the Chris Claremont miniseries. It's a newsstand variant. This is in really nice condition, except there's a slight ding on the top. But I basically decided to get the trade paperback, which I have around here somewhere, and here. The trade paperback, and then get this cover in really nice condition and spend my money there. I do have #2 around here somewhere as well in another bin. But yeah, awesome story, guys. Kind of the class. Like, I love when you just take a hero and you put him in a totally strange situation. Like, let's send Wolverine to Japan, which we kind of think of that as a part of who Wolverine is now. But at the time, like, it was a really crazy thing to just throw him into this completely different context. So I'd love to see that happen more with like characters like Spider-Man or Daredevil or someone, where they're just put into a different situation, just swinging through New York. But awesome story. All right, let's get into some Ninja Turtle books here. So the early Ninja Turtle stories had these micro series where there's each hero had a story devoted to their own person. So this one, I actually, as a child, I loved the Ninja Turtles as a kid. Like, everybody seems like they have their 80s cartoon show that was theirs, whether it was Transformers or Thundercats or whatever. Ninja Turtles was absolutely mine. I was just obsessed with the Ninja Turtles. And I had a book, like a kid's picture book, and it was actually this story, which I didn't realize was based on a comic, where basically Donatello goes down to check the pipes in April O'Neil's building and meets this artist downstairs named Kirby, homage to Jack Kirby. And he's got this pencil with a magical crystal tied to it, which anything he draws comes to life for a few seconds and then disappears. And he has drawn this doorway, and the doorway doesn't disappear. So Donatello goes through the doorway to check it out, and he finds this whole world of all these creatures that this guy's made, and there's a big war going on, and Donatello has to step in and help. And it's a really cool story, and I really enjoyed it as a kid. And then when I found this comic and read it, I was like, oh, I totally know the story. This is awesome. And it obviously goes into a little deeper than in the kids book. So this is probably my favorite Turtles issue. It's the Donatello micro series #1. And Leonardo has his own as well. I read this not too long ago, but the IDW, the modern series, did the same thing where they each got one. And I can't remember if I'm getting mixed up, but I think what happens is Leonardo has to go up against this huge ambush of the Foot Clan, and it just kind of shows you how badass Leonardo is. And interesting thing with the Turtles, I think Eastman or Laird had said the Turtles are supposed to kind of represent one man. Each turtle has the character, like certain characteristics of that man. So together that's why it's so important that they're a team, because like Leonardo's the disciplined side, Donatello's the sort of intelligent side, Raphael's sort of the feral, angry side, and Michelangelo's the fun-loving, silly side. So it's kind of neat in these micro-series because you get to see those personalities play out. And the other one I have is the Michelangelo micro-series. This is like a Christmas special. I think they're trying to steal the toys from the kids on Christmas kind of thing, and Michelangelo steps in and helps. I don't have the Raphael one. That's the larger size, the magazine size one. Also the first appearance of Casey Jones. You've probably seen it before. It's got the red cover on it. I'd like to pick it up eventually, but I haven't found it at a good price. So now I'm going to show you guys some of my under 100 Amazing Spider-Man issues. I filmed this earlier, so if it kind of doesn't sound like it's right now, that's why. So yeah, check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Amazing Spider-Man 101, probably in a VGF shape. This is the first appearance of Morbius, he's had a couple of his own series, but they just never seem to stick. I like Morbius. I really liked him in the cartoon. I thought they did a really great job with him there. Not fully making him a vampire, but having that vampire-ness to him, but he's more of a living vampire. And kind of more science-based. I love the issues with him and Blade, or the cartoon show with him and Blade in it. This is Amazing Spider-Man 78. This is the first appearance of the Prowler, who's not a huge villain. He was featured in the cartoon show as well. But great looking book, really nice high grade. I bought this in a lot at my local shop and got a pretty good deal for all of them. So happy to have this. My goal is to get the first like 500 issues of Spider-Man. So the hundreds or under the hundreds, I'm always kind of chipping away at as I go. But they're not cheap, guys, if you're into this. All right, Amazing Spider-Man 55. This is the famous Dr. Octopus cover where you see Spider-Man in the reflection. This has been swiped a few times by a few different series. There's a Venom one, there's a Mysterio one, there's a whole bunch of them. So really love this book. And besides the sort of, you can see the fading, just the white fading a little bit. Besides that, it's in really nice condition. So very satisfied with this book and love that Doc Ock cover. And that's Amazing Spider-Man 56. This is the first appearance of Captain Stacy. You remember him as the guy who got killed in the first movie, but a fairly prominent character for a little while in this series. Awesome Doc Ock cover. This one's got this little bend crease right here, but besides that, looks really nice. What else can I say about this book? This is art by, I think John Romita did this one. This is Amazing Spider-Man 47, and again, really nice shape book. Outside of the fading, there's a little bit of pencil writing there, but besides that, it just looks awesome. And beautiful Kraven cover. I love Kraven. He's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. This is Amazing Spider-Man 46. This is the first appearance of the Shocker. I'm kind of, because I really enjoyed the Superior Foes of Spider-Man series, I'm trying to find all the guys from that series because most of them are relatively cheap to find. So this is like a 7.0, 8.0. I bought it on eBay a while ago. I can't remember what I paid for it, but just looks really nice. So this book is surprisingly cheap as far as like villains go, because I think of the Shocker as a fairly key villain. He's been around for a while, but maybe that's just me. This is Amazing Spider-Man 42. Beautiful purple cover. This is the first appearance of Mary Jane Watson, or her face. And it's also got that classic line, "Face a tiger, you just hit the jackpot." Sorry I didn't go sexy, guys, for you. I'm not into that. Yeah, but it's probably a VG. It's got a fair amount of wear here, and there's a fair amount of wear here and a big crease right here. So not flawless, but still really happy to have it. Once you get into these lower grades, it's really hard to get super high grade. This is Amazing Spider-Man 41. This is the first appearance of the Rhino, who was featured in the newer movie for like 5 seconds, I guess. I didn't even actually watch it. Yeah, it's got a fair amount of creases and wear there. It's not the best, but no rips or anything. So happy to have this one, first Rhino. I wanted to get this before the movie because, of course, as we all know, the movies come out and the prices skyrocket, and it gets really annoying. Amazing Spider-Man 33. This is just iconic cover and an iconic story. I want to say Jack Kirby, or is it Steve Ditko? This could be Steve Ditko. But beautiful book. Totally, this is like the quintessential Spider-Man story. It shows who Spider-Man is, how he like triumphs no matter how heavy the odds are against him, and what drives him and what keeps him moving forward, which is like the love for his family and friends and doing the right thing and protecting those around him. It really shows how much of a hero he is. So definitely one of my favorite issues. This is Amazing Spider-Man 15. This is the first appearance of Kraven the Hunter. As I said, I really enjoy Kraven. And I have another copy of this actually that's got a big rip in it. This corner's ripped off. I really want to get this before. I know Kraven's going to be used eventually, and this book's going to be even more than it is already. It's already really high, being an under 20 issue. But awesome story, awesome character, and it's my lowest Amazing Spider-Man book.